Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there on the internet. For me, I have been away from my home for a little bit, taking the kids on a fun-filled family adventure down to SeaWorld, and I can successfully say we crushed that park. It was so much freaking fun. But I'm glad to be home, and I'm glad to be sharing with you guys the latest updates about multiplayer and endgame for No Rest for the Wicked. So what's going on, gamers? And hello and welcome to another No Rest for the Wicked video. It's been a little bit since we've been able to sit down and talk about it. So much going on with Summer Games Fest, so much going on with Xbox, and lots to talk about within the gaming world. But as a reminder for those of you who don't know, if you're watching this video, most likely when it comes out, thank you so much for being here day and date when the video is released, but you probably only have a few hours to save 20% off the early access. You might want to take advantage if you haven't already, because big things are just around the corner. We'll talk about that more in this video. But I see, guys, what you're saying. Is this game dead? What's going on with the game? When are we going to see update 3? When are we going to see the next phase of development? We want to know, and I think that's very, very important. So we're going to spend today's video diving into it, getting into the weeds, showing off the latest development from the developers as well. And I'm going to give you guys my professional opinion as a developer myself. But let's first highlight something I think pretty cool. Author Munoz tweets out some animations that he's been working on. Now, he's one of the animators on Wicked Game, and I want to highlight him for you because I think this is just some interesting both information, but also for me as somebody who's really into this game, I think it's going to be really cool to see how they continue to develop these animations. They're freaking cool. Anyway, you could see him obviously animating the Gatling daggers. What do you want to see from him next week, he asks? Maybe the great sword. So as we kind of keep up with what's going on with the game, maybe we'll keep checking in with other members of the team besides the two heads and see what they're saying as that continues on. But before we do, I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here. First and foremost, over 26% of you have subscribed and watched the videos. This is up from 25% recently. So thank you guys so much for coming in and coming back. Also, we've seen an increase in the ladies here. Welcome in, ladies. Going from 3% to 4%. Really glad to have you here, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the content as well. And then just as an interesting fact of, for you guys, I like sharing stats. I think numbers and statistics are interesting. That's why I'm really excited about a bestiary in this game, why I'm also really excited to see hopefully that they add more and more stats to this game. We can see the breakdown of the age ranges. So honestly, big, cool, awesome population and an interesting spread. So I don't know where you guys fall, but if you feel like sharing, you can drop that in the comments below. And if you guys do officially decide to subscribe to the channel, and because I always want to earn your sub, let me know in the comments so I can officially welcome you in the comments and also in future videos. Let's get into why you clicked on the video in the first place: multiplayer and endgame. Bradley asks, hey, I'm kind of new here. Any teasers on the upcoming content patches or news in general? Haven't seen anything for a good week or so. Sorry for taking a break, guys, but also there wasn't a lot of news to cover. He continues, just a steak cooking. Miss seeing your posts. This game is the most amazing game I've played in 20 years, by the way. Hope all is well. Now, Thomas takes his time and replies. He says, yep, sorry for being a little bit more on the silent side recently. We're just all super heads down on the upcoming update. Now, that's a real big key. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. He goes on, as I stated before, the major theme this time is diving deeper into the Crucible, with us working on whole new systems, but there will also be good changes across the board. And we covered that in previous videos. The TLDR is there's a lot of stuff that actually did not make the release of the base game. They're going to be working on getting that added in as a part of patch number 3 as well. This could be new areas and more, maybe the expansion of the Nameless Pass. Time will tell, and I think we won't have to wait much longer, so let's continue on. Now, Jonathan follows up to that reply and says, I must admit, I'm a little perplexed as to why you're prioritizing work on endgame systems before the game's core systems and content are anywhere near complete. I trust Moon Studios to deliver a great game in the end, but the order just seems a little bit strange to me. And I know that feeling is shared not just with Jonathan, but I know there are people out there who agree with that take. Thomas, replies again, and he says, "We usually have very long discussions on this stuff where we decide on what makes the most sense for Moon while also looking at what people want to see the most. As I can speak hands down, this is always a balance within development. You always have varying different kind of moving pieces, and it can be quite a challenge at times, especially because I am giving feedback, but also there are thousands and thousands of others giving, maybe even conflicting feedback. How do you measure that? How do you weigh that? And how do you apply that to your vision of what you want the game ultimately to be? So that is something that we don't have that unique experience because we're just one voice into, putting it out there in the world. They're receiving all of that, and it ends up being, it can be overwhelming if not managed correctly. Now he goes on, for now, what we are hearing is simply more content and multiplayer. So we'll be addressing both. That's the key word here. This makes me really hopeful for patch number 3 to see if that ends up being the big multiplayer patch, but more on that in a second. He continues, "We're not just adding more endgame content, we're also refining the core while we have other people on the team focusing on wrapping up the things that we couldn't get done for early access's launch. And we think this makes the most sense to take a bit more time with the update to properly theme and market them." That's another key hint right here. Them so that people don't get drip-fed updates. But every time we come out with an update, it should feel like a big splash. So let's look at a calendar, right? Calendar content, some stuff that I make here, some of the best content. Like, let's talk about schedule. First and foremost, like I said, happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Upcoming holidays, Juneteenth, for those of you who are in Texas. This is a holiday that we are happy that is now recognized across the nation. So that's exciting to see. And I know that means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but I think this is essentially a good thing to see. But then we get into the 20th and the 27th and the 21st and the 28th. Some big dates here. Let's start with possible 50-50 on the 20th. Now, if I'm wrong on the 27th, if the update is not out by then, or essentially I would say maybe the 28th, if the update is not out by then, just note I'll be gifting out 5 members to the community here at the channel. Put my money where my mouth is. But if you look at the coming weeks, it has been since May the 23rd where we got update number 2. So roughly speaking, the 20th would represent the 1 month kind of time frame between the updates, but easily I would say the 27th is the most likely, as that has given them plenty of time to cook that steak. But also you end up avoiding the launch of Elden Ring's DLC. I think as I've started to play through Elden Ring, and if you guys have been hanging out for those streams, thank you guys so much. And if you haven't and you want to see the VODs, maybe you'll be gifted out those memberships as well to be able to check that out. But beyond that, I think it is such an interesting game because No Rest for the Wicked has actually made me a better Elden Ring player. I think that just speaks to the skill increase that has happened there. But we can see here with Elden Ring DLC, I would push it out a week, just like Final Fantasy XIV reportedly said that they were as well, which you guys can also see. Dawn Trail launches on the 28th as a part of early access, and I plan on playing that as well. Namely because it's going to be an exciting time. I'm looking forward to checking out the 2 new jobs that they're introducing. But the 27th, I think, seems like the most practical because it allows a lot of people to overconsume on Elden Ring without having Elden Ring step on update number 3. If nothing else, if you go update number 3, then Elden Ring, I think you end up losing it. So I would say 50-50 odds on the 20th. The 27th seems to be the most logical. Now, several of you guys agree. Call Me says that Elden Ring DLC is coming. They should hold off on new content until after that dies off a little. I'll completely forget that No Rest for the Wicked exists until I'm done with that anyways. Had they released new content prior, maybe I'll stick around to finish the content before switching back to Elden Ring. And depending on how long that's going to take you guys, that's really kind of the big question. But the fun thing is let's say it takes you 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc. Then yeah, the update's still going to exist. I think it's going to be interesting to see how people receive it because based off of what Thomas has shared, they are talking about maybe multiplayer and the Crucible update and the finishing off the things, which would feel like a pretty meaty update, which brings me back to his line about marketing. Most likely, if they're going to do kind of updates like this, we might see them put out a little bit more marketing when it comes to this game, and time will tell if I'm right in that respect, but we will see in the long run. And I'm very curious because marketing is a piece of the puzzle. Marketing can also be handled very poorly with these kind of games because they end up setting expectations that either can't be delivered on, or they end up basically deceiving the player base. Now, when marketing's done right, you can see that adds excitement and hype to a game in and of itself. So marketing is a key component, and we've seen many examples of bad marketing if you guys have been following kind of the New World drama. Personally speaking, I'm very excited about New World coming to consoles, but how they handled the marketing behind all of that obviously has created a lot of the backlash that people are expressing their frustration online. So again, bad example of marketing, but a good example of marketing would be what we've seen with Final Fantasy XIV and the upcoming Dawn Trail. And also their little hint and tease about, hey, we want you guys to play the Elden Ring DLC too. We're gonna launch. We wanted to come out a week early, but we're going to be coming out the next week. I think they were coming out the next week anyway, but it's a pixel perfect, it's a picture perfect way of kind of getting a win on both accounts, because gamers are excited for Elden Ring and they want to check it out, and then they get to follow that up with either some No Rest for the Wicked, some Final Fantasy XIV, or if you're like me, a crazy person, multiple games in that respect. Now, as we wind down this video with our message of hope and kind of a light little bit of discussion, this is dedicated to my friend Ben, the Comicstorian. If you guys don't know, Ben was a friend, and he was always just the most generous person with his time. We've been talking this year. We're like, hey, we got to get you back on the podcast. It's been a little while. We've all both been incredibly busy. And obviously, if you guys haven't seen the news, unfortunately, he had a accident, and he is no longer with us. Why is this a message of hope? You might be wondering. I think, if nothing else, within any form of tragedy and any form of loss, last week was hard, clearly, for a lot of us who knew Ben, and who, again, I can't express to you guys just how much it meant to me, especially as a small content creator, that he would still give me the same time and respect. He would answer questions that I had about being a YouTuber. And that's the kind of thing that we should all strive to be. We should all strive to be as generous as we can with the time that we have. And that is something that I have always tried to kind of respond to. That's something why I've always tried to live up to that standard that Ben set for me. As a content creator, I don't hide my stats. I try to answer y'all's questions as they come in, especially for those of you who are thinking about or struggling with content creation and trying to figure out all the ins, outs, and buts. And so that's essentially where I think there's a message of hope here, because we will all one day no longer be here, and that might seem like a little sad news. But there's kind of a little bit of peace to that as well, meaning no matter how bad we mess up, at some point it's going to easily be forgotten. And so that there's hope. There's definitely hope in us as humans go. And while it sucks that I can't talk to Ben anymore, and while I'm still grieving that loss, it does at the same time make me remember that this time is finite, that any suffering that I might be dealing with at a period of time is finite. It's not going to last forever. And that's the hope that I hope that I can bring in these videos to you out there. Because I know some of you guys right now are suffering. I know some of you guys right now are hurting. I see it in the comments. I see it as the subtext to some messages when people say something snarky or rude or mean. And I do my best. Sometimes I get a little snarky back to you guys, and I do apologize. But when it's all said and done, you are worth living for. You are worth love. And even if it is a hard time for you right now, it will get better. And if you got to just believe that. It's kind of like if you guys have ever read the old book, the little engine, you know, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong, the truth is you're right. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So I would encourage you guys to think that you can. And also, be sure to tell those that you love them, because you never know when you won't be able to say to them. That's just a good reminder for us all, especially for those of you who've lost your fathers and had to miss them and remember them this past Father's Day. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you, especially hang out all the way through these message of hopes. It really does mean the world to me that you give me your time and attention. And now it's my time to give you my attention back to you. So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, especially about patch number 3 and what you guys think and when you might think it might release, as well as if you have any thoughts about, obviously our shared friend and obviously big YouTuber, Comicstorian, and prayers for him and his family as well, and prayers for you guys. I love you very much. I do mean that. And I hope that you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day. And hopefully I'll see you pretty soon with some really detailed updates as once they start kicking up that marketing component. It's going to be, I think, a fun time nonetheless. Anyway, guys, for Ginger Prime, my name is Brian. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.